So now let us look over here. So a quadratic function can be written like this, okay? In this form. A cannot be 0. A has to be a number, negative or positive, but not 0. So the graph of a quadratic function is called what? A parabola. Write this or highlight. The graph of a quadratic function is called a parabola. Okay? The graph opens upwards if the coefficient of the variable that is squared is positive, downward if it is negative. Now, let's come back here. Since this is negative, your graph will be like this. Since this is positive, it will be like this. So how do you remember? Negative looks like n. Okay? Just like that. So negative, it looks like n, so it goes down. These ones will be u, because the number in front of x is positive. So remember to write those important notes. The parabola that opens upwards, has a positive coefficient of x squared. Of x squared. So we give examples, whole number. So y equals to 4x squared plus 10. Y equals to half x squared minus 7. Y equals to x squared. So all these, the graph will look up. Okay? Then the parabola that opens downwards, remember, I am using vocabulary because you also have to use vocabulary. So instead of you calling it a graph, you now call it a parabola because you're speaking of quadratic functions. So the parabola that opens downwards is because the coefficient of x squared is negative. Give an example. Okay, so because the number in front of x squared is negative, that is why the coefficient, the graph or the parabola will open downward. So your graph will look like this. Okay, now let's do this one. We've been told to graph. So look here. See, it's negative. Look at the graph. See here, it is positive. The graph is going up. So already you should know by looking. All right. So here we know our graph will go up. So I draw. So if my picture comes the other way around, something is wrong. So I draw a graph. I draw a table. Here is x. Here is y. Here is 6x squared. and I choose some negative numbers, some positive numbers. -2, -1, 0. Remember to start from least to greatest. 1, 2. So if you start with -6, like that, you have to go to 0 and you have to do the same on this other side. All right, so 6 bracket -2 squared. That is what you do. -2 squared is 4. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 -1 squared is 1 times 6 is 6. 6, 0 squared is 0, so this will be 0. 6, 1 squared will be 1 times 6 is 6. And also remember, see, your points repeat. After you come from 0, whatever you have here will repeat, like that. And 6, 2 squared, 4 times 6 is 24. Then I come here and I plug. So I have -1, and I have -2. And I have 1, and I have 2. So my numbers are going by 6. So this will be 6, 12, 18, 24. Then I will do -2 with 24, -1 with 6, 0 with 0, 1 with 6, 2 with 24. And then I join. Now here you don't need a ruler. Just use your free hand. Make sure it is one straight line. And put the arrows. So that's how you draw. Okay? Let's try. Here I don't have. You'll read the examples. If you have any questions, you will ask tomorrow. Let's look at this example B. The outdoor observation deck of a Space Needle shuttle is 160 meters above the ground. Use the graph to estimate how far you could see from the observation deck. So you need to use this graph to see how far you can see from the observation deck. 160 meters is where? Somewhere here. This is 100, so 160 will be somewhere here. Then I draw in the line where my line meets, somewhere here. So my answer will be about, so between 10 and 20 is 15. So use the graph to estimate. So I'm using the graph. 160 will be over here. And then I draw with a ruler a straight line. Where it touches the blue line, I come down. I found 15 meters. So use the graph to estimate how far you could see from the observation deck. I can see from the observation deck (15 meters far). That's all. So when they tell you to use the graph, you go there. You look for the number that they have given you. Okay?